They came to Earth long before us, not to explore, but to extract. The Anunnaki, beings from a distant world, arrived in ancient times to mine Earth's precious gold. But they didn't do it alone. Beneath them served a forgotten race, the Igigi, lesser gods, laborers. They dug the tunnels, carried the ore, endured the heat, the weight, the burden. But one day, they refused. And in that moment, a decision was made that would change history forever. Let us create a worker in our image. This is the story of the Igigi Rebellion, the real reason the first human was created. Before humanity walked the earth, ancient texts like the Tireless epic and the Lost Book of Enki tell us what happened next. When the gods, like men, bore the work and suffered the toil, the work was heavy, the distress was much. Tireless Tablet 1. One night, the Igigi gathered in secret. They spoke of liberation. They swore to lay down their tools, surround Enlil's domain, and demand freedom. And so they did. They marched on the city of Nippur, the control center of Anunnaki Earth operations. Fires lit the sky. The gods panicked. The heavens shook. The high god Anu looked down from the heavens and asked, "What has come over them?" Enlil responded with fury, "Let us punish them." But Enki, his brother, the scientist, proposed something different. A replacement, a new being, a worker. Not divine, not immortal, but capable, obedient, adaptable. A grand meeting was held. The Anunnaki Council gathered in the heart of the Eden. Enlil, Enki, Ninhursag, Nanar, Utu, Inanna. They debated the future of Earth's mission. Would they return to Nibiru or find a solution here? Enki made his case. "Let us create a Lulu Amelu, a primitive worker, born of this planet but guided by our knowledge." Ninhursag agreed. And so began the greatest experiment in the history of our species. The rebellion of the Igigi would become the reason for humanity's creation. From rebellion came revelation. The Igigi refused to labor. The gold mission could not be abandoned. The gods had only one path forward: create a new being. Enki and Ninhursag began the work in secret, beneath the marshlands of Eridu, the first city on Earth, founded by Enki himself. There, in a luminous temple known as the House of Life, the divine tools were prepared. The process was complex. They took the essence of the Anunnaki, divine DNA, and blended it with that of a wild earth creature, a resilient hominid now known to science as Homo erectus. The goal was not perfection, it was utility, a being strong enough to mine, smart enough to follow orders, but incapable of rebellion. Attempts failed. Some were lifeless, others unstable, but finally, success, a being of flesh and blood, Adamu, the first man. The Anunnaki were pleased. Adamu was functional, obedient, and aware. He was sent to the Eden, a region between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, to labor and live under their watchful eyes. Eventually, more were created, male and female. The labor of the Igigi was over. Humanity had taken its place, but the question remained: were we created as slaves or as something more? Enki, it seems, believed in more. It is said he secretly altered the human design, planted within us a spark of the divine, memory, creativity, soul. But this act would deepen the rift between Enki and Enlil. One wanted obedience, the other, evolution, and the price of that difference would echo into history. So what became of the Igigi? Some returned to Nibiru, others remained in orbit aboard celestial platforms. A few, it is said, descended once more. In the Book of Enoch, We hear of the Watchers, beings who came down to Earth and took human wives. These were the fallen Igigi, their children, Nephilim. Giants of old, heroes of legend, beings of both earth and sky. Their presence disrupted the divine plan. The gods grew angry, and soon a decision was made. The Great Flood would erase the experiment. All but a chosen few would be wiped from history. The rebellion of the Igigi did more than spark the creation of humanity. It divided the gods. On one side stood Enlil, who saw humans as a means to an end. Laborers, nothing more. On the other stood Enki, who saw potential. Between them, a cosmic tension formed. Control versus evolution. Suppression versus awakening. Humanity was not just a creation. We became the battleground for opposing divine philosophies. Enki's secret modifications gave us imagination, language, longing, but Enlil saw danger. It's written in the tablets. The humans have grown too loud. Their cities clamor. Let us silence them with water. The Great Flood was not just punishment. It was a reset. But humanity survived because Enki warned one man, Zeusudra, the Sumerian Noah, and through him, the divine spark lived on. So what have we learned? That the Igigi were not myths, but a lost race of celestial workers whose rebellion changed the course of history. That humanity's creation was not divine destiny, but a crisis response, an act of science, not spirit. About being in clay tablets, beneath ruined temples and within our very DNA, lies the truth of our origin. The gods made us to serve, but perhaps Enki made us to awaken. Could it be that rebellion, first by the Igigi, then by Enki, is the very reason we exist? Are we meant to follow or evolve? This is Hidden Origins TV. Subscribe now, because the next chapter has already begun. In our next episode, the Tablets of Destiny, Technology of the Gods.